What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back with a new video. And today it is time we do the best case scenario for Republicans in 2022's governor's races. Now, I did a Senate best case scenario like 3 days ago, and like 2 weeks ago I did my governor's prediction. Today we're going to be looking at the best case scenario for Republicans across the board. Now, again, I don't think this is going to happen. This is like an R plus 10, R plus 11 environment we're projecting. Realistically, you have an R plus 6, R plus 7 environment. So this is a full like 4 or 5 points more Republican. Now, before we start today's video, if you enjoy these type of videos, if you do, smash like button down below, subscribe, share with friends, hit the little bell, and yes, let's try to hit 300 likes on this video. That'd be greatly appreciated. And yes, let's get right into it. So, let's get rid of the obvious ones. Not Colorado. Whoops, not that one. In this scenario, Kansas would be like safe Republican. Oklahoma, Texas, at this point, like, you're talking about, you know, Beto, like, implodes again. He loses by, like, 20. Which is a scenario that could happen, realistically speaking. I mean, Beto has burnt old bridges that he had with his 2018 self. He's not the blue dog-ish Dem that's, like, fighting for working Americans. He's became kind of a shill. That's what he's become. You have Arkansas, Iowa, Ohio, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina. Florida DeSantis is not going to lose either way, but at this point, like a 15-point win. Best case scenario, you got Nikki Fried, the Fries, whatever you want to call her. I think she gets crushed either way, but this is like if he faces her. And yeah. And also, this may sound nuts. Georgia. I have a video planned for Georgia a little bit because what happened with Stacey Abrams with the mask thing, that has destroyed her campaign. In a matter of days, it's destroyed it. That was just a dick move. That was just disgusting what she did. And I firmly believe that, in a best case scenario, right, for Republicans, Stacey Abrams becomes the nominee. You got David Perdue as a Republican candidate. Independents fear Stacey Abrams. Just all flood to the Republicans. And Republicans have high turnout. So yeah, that's not crazy. A best case scenario, likely Georgia. I should say likely. Excuse me. So, you know, a 7-8 point win. Best case scenario. Not nuts. And you got Vermont, New Hampshire. That's obvious. Now for Democrats, Hawaii, California. Dumpster fire, that is a state. Maryland, I don't think there's any Republicans that are running that are big names. But again, if there is a candidate that I'm missing or ignoring, just tell me in the comments down below. I, of course, miss some candidates. I even admit that. So, if there is like a Maryland governor's candidate that has reasonable shot, just mention them down below and I'll look into them more. Because I don't know exactly if there's any major candidates there. I think the lieutenant governor is running. I don't know. And, of course, New York. So, Democrats so far start with 3 safe states. Republicans start with an absurd amount. And with Georgia, again, that's like everything goes right. So, take that with a grain of salt. So, now we have 14 states that could be somewhat or are competitive. Let's get rid of the obvious ones. Colorado, best case scenario, like 7-8 point loss for Democrats or Republicans. Paulus is way too popular. It is no other way to say it other than he's way too freaking popular. And the fact he's running on, like, getting rid of, like, income taxes and stuff, you may actually want to keep him in that state, honestly. So I think Colorado, Paulus probably wins significantly either way. Illinois, I mean, the prick, I think, is going to win by, you know, it's going to be a closer one in a best case scenario, like a 3-4 point win. But still, I do think he wins by, you know, a couple points. But again, the prick would barely hold on. And Massachusetts, this is a tough one. Here's the issue with Massachusetts and Maryland. I don't know any candidates that are running for Republicans that have a reasonable shot. If there is one, again, just down below, tell me. There is an X candidate that's running, all right, that has a fair shot. Because I honestly don't know. So, yeah, that's why Massachusetts is still safe Democrat. Just 2 months ago, safe Republican, but now Charlie Baker cowered out, and yeah, so Massachusetts is safe Democrat. As Republicans' best case scenario, Arizona, Wisconsin, both likely. I mean, Wisconsin, whoever it is, Cleefish, Nicholson, or that clown that Trump wants, I hope to God he doesn't run. I think in a best case scenario, Republicans win 5, 6, 7%. I mean, Democrats have some awful candidates, aka Tony Evers, running for governor. It doesn't help them much better that their candidates for the Senate race, which may actually have higher turnout, is significantly worse than Tony Evers. So, yeah, Wisconsin, I'm not really paying attention to. My home state, Republicans going to win there easily. As for Arizona, again, best case scenario, Carrie Lake, the past, month, has shut everybody up about her campaign, that she's just a Q boomer and that she's never going to win. She has become the clear front runner in that race. She's going to win, and they're running a progressive. They're running a Bernie bro against her. I don't think that's going to go well in the generic ballot, or the general ballot. That's not going to go too well, to say the least. So I think that Carrie Lake, either way, next governor of the great state of Arizona, will win by a substantial margin in a best case scenario. I mean, that clown in Arizona, the Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, she is not looking good right now. I mean, you look at her real fundraising numbers inside the state of Arizona, it's basically nobody. She's getting over donations from freaking California and New York, like usual. So there's no momentum for her campaign at all. Well, Carrie Lake, she is, proving herself, hey, I'm going to be a real good governor. Now, for other likely states, you can make the argument maybe Nevada for Republicans, best case scenario, maybe. But as for best case scenario, I do think it was Rhode Island. Again, Rhode Island is weird at a statewide level. I mean, the Democrats in Rhode Island are social conservatives. It's cursed. Don't look up the Rhode Island Democrat Party. It's just a cursed mess there. But I think that at best case scenario, Republicans lose the race by 8, 9 points because Rhode Island just cursed politics in general. So now we got 8 states that really should be talked about. And a best case scenario, people are going to hate me for this, but we'll get to Oregon in a second. But Nevada, I think that's quite obvious. Best case scenario. Republicans win it. They have some good candidates, by the way. They have a strong field in Nevada. Michigan, I think James Craig wins. But I think Whitler is starting to lose all of her ground that she had from 2018. It's gone. Her base is gone, and it's not looking too good for her. So some polling showing she's down significantly. I think she's in trouble either way. Pennsylvania, no matter who the Republican is, they're going to win. They're just going to win. It's either by 2 points or 5 points. It's going to be that margin. But I think best case scenario, a 5-point win, maybe. More realistically, a 4.5, 4.7% victory. So that's 4 lean Republican states, or 3. As for Democrats, I would say Minnesota. I don't think Waldo is going to lose. I just don't think so. Waldo, Walt, funny. But I don't think Waldo's going to lose. It's just, I think he's way too popular for the state of Minnesota, considering the fact it is not the most Democrat state in the world. But I do think he's going to win it by 4 or 5 points in a best case scenario for Republicans. So don't put that much energy in the state. Just don't. It could be closer, but I just wouldn't recommend it. Now, we have 4 states left, and this is going to get so many people pissed off. Best case scenario, New Mexico. Mark Ricchetti wins. That's just best case scenario. Oregon, the Democrats split the vote some ridiculous margin, 60-40, with the independent candidate, and Republicans waltz their way into the governorship there, possibly flip a couple state house seats. And yeah, not crazy, by the way. There is a major third-party candidate, which I made a video about, that is siphoning significant support from the Democrats. Then you got Connecticut. Best case scenario, which I do think that Bob is the favorite right now. I still think he wins in a best case scenario by 3-4 points. Seems crazy, but I consider him the favorite already. And in a better Republican cycle, in a best case scenario, not crazy to say. I mean, yeah, these polls claim Ned Lamont's very popular. It's getting carried because he didn't lock down the state like other governors did. Outside of that, he is deeply hated in the state. That COVID number is just bailing him out right now. But with COVID finally starting to become less and less important, I mean, in fact, the ones that think it is important are going to vote Republican. So there's that. But Connecticut, I do think that Ned Lamont's done either way. And yeah, so lean Republican state in Connecticut. As for Maine, best case scenario, LePage wins. Kind of like Ricchetti in New Mexico. And this is the current best case scenario for Republicans. Now, you could make an argument that, oh, Illinois is more Democrat, or Minnesota is more Democrat, or Arizona is more Republican, or something like that. But I do firmly believe with what I currently predict, 4 or 5 point shift towards the right, this is what the map would probably look like in a best case scenario. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.